Carmentary, Neil here. Let's talk about tourist food refugees in Hokkaido and possibilities for someone who has the entrepreneurial spirit. 今日は英語の後に日本語をやってみたいと思います。食事難民という言葉が最近出てきたんで、それについて語りたいと思います。So, here in Hokkaido, tourism is booming! Booming! Yeah, for real. Winter has really exploded with the ski and snowboard tourism. And I hear a word, I've heard it in Niseko many times, and I'm starting to hear it in other areas, and that's why I decided to make this commentary. So, the word is a Japanese word, it's shokuji nanmin, which means like food refugees or I guess you could say like dinner refugees. Basically, it's what happens when you bring a lot of tourists to a small town that does not have the restaurant or food capacity to serve all those people. When people go traveling, they get hungry. It's just people get hungry, especially for dinner. You know, breakfast, maybe you can buy something at the convenience store. Lunch, you're out going around, there's like a little burger shop or another convenience store. But dinner, you're like, man, I'm kind of hungry. Let's go have something nice to eat. Where can we go? Well, here in Japan now, a land that is kind of famous for good food, cheap food, lots of restaurants, you know, generally a good situation, but a little combination of things. You have the small proprietor. It's like the owner chef, right? You have your little ramen shops, you have your little sushi shops, whatever you have. Most of them are run by elderly couples. It's kind of a fact. And when you get down into the city where the rents are higher and there's a lot more pressure, then you're going to have, you know, larger businesses who own lots, they hire chefs, you know, etc. But when you get out into the countryside, into these smaller communities, which is where the resorts tend to be in Japan, at least ski resorts, you have a lot of mom and pop kind of little restaurants. And to be truthful, they're aging out of the business. Okay? We have an aging population. People get tired. They've run the ramen shop for 35 years and they're like, oh man, we just can't do this anymore. You also have the economic effect where, for example, Niseko property values start to skyrocket. It seems a lot smarter to sell your ramen shop than to keep trying to sell ramen at 1,000 yen a bowl. You know, why not take the $100,000 for your property and say, screw that ramen business. So you have that. Basically, you have a lot of disappearing small mom and pop restaurants. Combine that with a huge influx of tourists, hungry tourists. So in Niseko, they're definitely the front runner, bringing in a lot of tourists, sort of ahead of the curve here in Hokkaido, so you can see what happens. And there was not enough places to eat. This has been going on for quite a few years now. So to remedy the situation, the city, the town, the tourism organization, people got together, and now if you go to Niseko, you will find a ton of food trucks, a whole bunch of food trucks. You've got melted cheese sandwiches, you've got rice balls, you've got tacos, you have, you know, Korean, Indian, like, you know, all kinds of food. Amazing, great stuff. And, you know, high quality. People take pride in what they produce. Food trucks are an economical opportunity for, especially, you know, maybe young people or younger people who want to, you know, set up a business, be kind of flexible, or maybe it's a second business. Maybe they already have something, but the location they're in wasn't that great. It's not that close to the center of the tourism hotspots. So they, you know, build out this food truck and they can park it in Niseko for pretty much the whole winter. And if you're in the right spot with the right menu, you can make some bank. So it's done quite well. Some people are not so happy with the concept of, you know, this uber expensive high-end resort just covered in food trucks. Okay, so there is that kind of there's that kind of vibe as well. But let's just say there's a lot of food trucks. Now, a couple days ago, I went out to a small town called BA. BA is a tourist kind of hotspot, mostly in the summer, up until now. But a friend of mine took over a yakiniku, or Korean barbecue style restaurant with his wife. And I went to visit and have dinner there. And we got to talking to him. Apparently they have been packed. Like people lining up outside their store waiting to eat Korean barbecue. And it's the same thing. Food refugees. It's a small town, but there's a whole bunch of like Airbnb kind of units in the town. There's no real big hotel, but the tourism is going off. They have some things in the winter that are also popular, like this famous waterfall. There's this pond that's all lit up at night with this light show, and there's different things going on. So people are coming in, mostly Asian tourists apparently. They're staying in the town, and at night they're hungry, and again, not enough restaurants. Now, here's a little twist. So, you had this guy's shop. Right across the street was some kind of a little restaurant, and next to it was another restaurant. I could see, like a sign and some stuff, but it was closed. So I asked him about it, and he said it was run by an elderly lady, and she had run it for quite a few years. And suddenly, all these tourists come in, and her whole clientele changed from mostly probably Japanese locals and tourists to probably 95% foreign English-speaking tourists. And she got sick of it. I'm sure it was a combination. Maybe she was ready to quit anyway. But basically the translation was she didn't want to deal with the clientele, so she closed her store. Okay, you can see where I'm going with this. More and more, I think we're going to see mom and pop places closing as either they get tired of dealing with the tourists, they just are tired of doing it and kind of want to shut it down. Whatever, there's lots of reasons. Now, I think you get the point. What I'm trying to say here is there's a huge opportunity for people who are interested in restaurant or some kind of a food, whether that's a cafe or a bar or etc. Great opportunities abound here in Hokkaido and probably, across most of Japan where tourism is prevalent. You can probably walk into any small little town that has, Airbnb units and tourism and little hotspots and take your pick. There's probably going to be a restaurant or something that was in business until fairly recently, or maybe someone who is at the very end of their run and thinking, hey, we kind of want to shut down. And if you're a nice person, positive vibes, you go in, make some connections, talk to the tourism office, go into a cafe and say, hey, is there any place that's shut down? I'm kind of thinking about opening up a sandwich shop. I don't know, whatever. And I will bet you will find something, link something up, and you could be up and running very quickly. Japan, the bureaucracy to open up cafes and restaurants, I don't think it's that bad. Like, the zoning is very lax here. You can do it in a house, you can do it in residential areas. Very different from what you have in the States or in Europe. And you can find a place where you can live and have the shop in one nice package. All kinds of great situations like that. I think the cost of entry is very low. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I think we are really going to need to start importing people from around the world to open up restaurants and shops to cater to both locals and tourists. I think if you came in and made some high-priced thing that's only for the tourists, that might only work in certain areas. But if you're willing to, merge with the local community and provide a unique, delicious service, people are going to get behind you. Comments accepted below. それでは、短く日本語でいきたいと思います。この食事難民、ニセコの方で先行して、この何年、もう5、6年前かな、 食事難民、もうご飯屋さんが足りないと、食事どころが足りないから人がホテルから出てきて溢れて、あっちこっち探してるラーメン、何時間も並んだりとか、もう予約しないと食べれないとか、いろいろ続いて、最終的に何が増えたかって言ったらフードトラック。めちゃくちゃニセコ今フードトラック、イートストリートっていうところとか、もう大きく3カ所で、それ他にいろんな駐車場とか場所借りてフードトラックやってるのが多いです。まあこれもね、いろんな意見がある。あんなこう割とこうハイエンド向けのリゾートになってきたね、ニセコヒラフ。そんなとこにいろんなフードトラックあるのはどうなのよという意見もあれば、まあ安くて割と安くて美味しいものを気軽に食べて部屋に持って帰ったりとか、いろいろできるっていうのはありがたいとか、だいぶ食べれるようにはなってきてる。でもまだやっぱり足りない、こういう事情。それと、最近もう3日4日前、美瑛に行きました。北海道の美瑛は夏がまあメインの観光地でも、冬も実は観光かなり来てるようです。アジアの観光が多くて、青い池っていう場所と、白ひげの滝とか、まあいろいろ美瑛からまた今度旭川とか旭岳、富良野、まあ、割と便利な場所にあってっていうのもあって、ただ大きなホテルとかそういう宿がないなと思ってたら、民泊がめちゃくちゃ多いと。みんな民泊の宿に泊まって、そうするとまあロングステイの人は自分でご飯なんか買ってきて作るかもしれないけど、基本的にどっか夜食事に出たいと。で友達が今そこで焼肉屋さんを居抜きっていう形なのかな、もともとあった場所を引き継いで今やってるんで、そこに行きました。でいろいろ話聞いたら、とにかく食事どころが足りないと。でもともとあったのがまあ閉まったりとか、その真向かいにもなんかレストランがあって閉まってて、でどうしたのって言ったら、いやそうおばあちゃんがね、おばあちゃんなのかおばさんなのかはちょっと分かんないですけど、ちょっと年配の女性が一人でやってたんだけど、もう疲れちゃって閉めちゃったと。でその疲れたの中にもう外国のお客さんが多くなって、もうよく分かんないからそれにも疲れたっていう話がありました。これは分かりますね。まあ今までゆっくりとね、近所のじいちゃんばあちゃんが集まってね、なんかこう食べてたのが、今多分 90% 以上英語しか喋れない外国のお客さん来て、これはまあグルーテンフリーとかなんかいろいろ言われてもね、うるせえよみたいな感じにはなると思うんだけど、まあそうやってお店がまた減っていきます。で食事難民、その焼肉屋さんも僕ら行った日はたまたまちょっと空いてて入れたんだけど、それまで毎日もうお客さん並んで、もうびっしり超忙しいと言ってました。そこで僕がもう気になるというか、そのチャンス、これはこうネガティブな話ね。お店が足りない、お客さんの不満が増えてるとか、北海道とかね、観光協会とか役場とかそういうところは観光を増やすことにものすごい力入っていろいろやってくれて、まあいいんだけど、結局インフラの整備、道路だけじゃなくてね、こういうご飯屋さんとかコンビニが増えていけばいいっていうもんじゃないんだよね。もう本当海外のお客さんは朝昼はなんとかコンビニで済ますかもしれないけど、夜ご飯はねちゃんと食べたいの。弁当じゃダメ。これははっきり言える。これは日本はまだね、結構弁当で我慢できる人がね、他の国より多いと思うんだよね。ちょっとしたつまみとか、なんか居酒屋みたいにね、枝豆とか卵焼きとかおにぎりとかいろいろ出して、みんなでこうつまんで喋りながらビール飲む感じはいけるけど、海外の人はね、なんかレストランに座ってちゃんと物を誰か持ってきて、あったかいご飯をサービス含めて好きなんだよ。だからすごいそのおもてなしが大事だなと思っていて、 ここでビジネスチャンス、あなたにもチャンス。レストランとかね、カフェ、まあバーもありかもしれないけど、まあ基本的にカフェとレストラン、お菓子屋さん、ケーキ屋さん、まあ、結構何でもいけると思う。とにかくそのご飯屋さんがこれから北海道どんどん減っていくと思う。年配のなんか夫婦とかで長年ラーメン屋さんとかね、いろいろこう経営してるようなそういうお店が多い。特に田舎行くとその家族経営の店が多いんだけど、どんどん自然と辞めていくし、まあ、嫌になって辞めていくとかいろんな状況あるけど、ああいう場所にねスッと入って改装してあるものをうまく利用しながら新しいそういうビジネスを始めるのはすごいチャンスで、一つこれも意見なんだけど、最近の傾向、この観光増えると、この間札幌の街中行っていろいろ見てきたけど、やっぱり完全にね海外向けのお店が増えてる。もう目に見えてる。なんか和牛バーガーとかね、その店の名前からして今海外で話題になってるとか、有名になってるね、和牛とかジャパニーズウイスキーとか、いろいろそういうものがあるんだけど、それをもう丸出しでお店やってる。で多分値段とかも外国プライスどうかな、ちょっとその辺もっと調べなきゃいけないけど、まあなんかわかるけど、うまくローカルとフォレナーうまくね、この真ん中を通ってお店作んないと、またなんかパンデミックみたいなものがあったり、観光客がそんなに来なくなった時にはもうパーン終わっちゃうよ。あそこだけちょっと気をつけてほしいけど、なんか今外国人も日本円弱いし、みんなバブリーでも何でももうウイスキーのショット3500円で売ってもすぐ買うよ、だからそれやろうみたいな、そういうお店作りはちょっと危ないなと思いながら、お店は増えてほしいです。そこにはすごいビジネスチャンス。そして北海道の生活最高です。はい、それだけ言います。はい、もう間もなく到着するんで、今日のちょっと日本語が短くて申し訳ないんだけど、大体伝わったと思います。食事難民、観光のおかげで食事難民が広がっております。ニセコとかそういうリゾートのところは、まあ今までそれが多かったのはしてたけど、美瑛とかね、そういう小さなホテルとか宿があんまりない町までこういうことが増えてるっていうのが分かりました。それをみんなに伝えてちょっと考えてもらいたいなと思いました。意見の方よろしくお願いします。コメント Please leave me a comment below。 何でもいいです。あと聞きたいこととか話してほしいこととか、ぜひぜひ入れてください。また頑張って答えたいと思います。あとね、まあ今のところ英語ですけど、サブスタックの方、よろしくお願いします。ニールのメールマガやっております。登録してくれると、まあ大体週1回くらいメールマガ届きます。そこにしか出してないコンテンツやってるんでよろしくお願いします。Please subscribe to my Substack channel, Neil Hartmann. All you gotta do is search for Neil Hartmann, Neilhartmann, Substack.com. よろしく Drive safe.